Hello everyone, this is your friend and I am back with a new fanfic part 1. The fanfic title is What If Naruto Accidentally Proposed to Hinata After Saving the World part 1. I hope you enjoy this fanfic, and if you enjoy this, so don't forget to subscribe my channel. Now let's start the fanfic. Evidently, everyone felt relief as soon as they sensed the stop of the moon's approach to Earth. It was like a miracle after what it seemed to be the final hour of humanity and Earth. The village had immediately began settling down. Those who had lost their homes were given temporary shelters while the others ensured their own was still safe to live in and standing. The remaining members of Konoha 11 ecstatically reconvened with their Hokage to welcome their comrades who saved, not only their village, but also the fate and future of the whole world. Each had their own stories of what transpired during that breathtaking 1 hour of their lives, but their attention was instantly caught when Shikamaru's team arrived. Their faces all lit up upon seeing their comrades, but their expressions instantly switched upon seeing the joined hands of Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Hinata. Gasps were heard amidst the silence. They couldn't believe their eyes. The once shy Hinata was now comfortably leaning close at Naruto's side. On the other hand, the excruciatingly oblivious Naruto was affectionately whispering something on Hinata's ear. Shikamaru immediately approached their Hokage and explained what happened. Kakashi smirked underneath his mask. This one he didn't see right through his hunch, but the overlapping shadows he saw right up above earlier was right. What's the meaning of this? Ino asked, and the two finally became aware of their surroundings. They immediately froze and blushed for a while. What's going on between you two? Not letting go of each other's hands, Hinata just quietly dipped her head low as Naruto shrugged and rubbed the back of his head. Well. Kiba grunted, and with a shit-eating grin, he brusquely pulled Naruto away. You big idiot. It's about damn time. You finally get it. I know TT Ibeo. Naruto was saying happily. Congratulations, Naruto. Who would have thought you'd be the first one among us? Choji greeted, while Shino was making heart-shaped figures out of his bugs as his mien of greeting, and Iruka's sensei watched with eyes that of a proud parent. Meanwhile, Sai figured out that he had a wonderful scene before him, an image of his friends and comrades joined together in celebration after another triumph, and he meant to put this image into good use through his skill. In the background were Guy Sensei and Lee, parading their musings of love and youth despite the season of winter. At last, springtime comes even in the coldness of winter. Guy Sensei proclaimed as his student affirmed with equal spirit. That's the power of love and youth, Sensei. On the other hand, the unfortunate fangirls who snuck and followed Konohamaru overheard of the news from afar, and it seemed that someone else had finally stolen their senpai's heart. Konohamaru might be just as oblivious as his Ni-chan. Needless to say, he was very happy that the very person he idolized had finally gotten a girl. Hanabi also felt the same and more for her Nei-chan. She was proud at some point. Though, it was her abduction that made her sister worry a lot and put their world at risk. At least, she sort of became an instrument to her Nei-chan's happiness. At least, she can finally smile wholeheartedly now. It's my idea to pair them up during the mission. Sakura whispered and winked at her friends as she squealed. It worked. Ino and the girls grilled on Hinata as they wanted to know all the details of her, literally, out-of-this-world romance. Well, that's, Hinata hesitated as she blushed. He kept on murmuring her name, just so you know. It was very dramatic. Sakura added, and the others squealed. Again. I know nothing about that. Hinata professed as Ino squeezed in further. So are you official? I mean you guys kissed already, right? Sakura interjected. Aha. So that's what I saw. Tenten affirmed, making Hinata blush more. So it's the two of you, huh? Kiba, hearing the girls' conversation, butted in and teased Naruto. Did you make sure you do it right? Oh, of course, I do. So are you two finally, Tenten trailed, while looking at her friend's face. Everybody braced themselves in silent sass. They await the answer that will put their frustrations to rest. For years, Naruto and Hinata had become a vexing love situation. Hinata was just too shy to express and show her affections, while Naruto was too dense to realize what's been there all along. It's like they needed a special divine intervention just to wake up and learn how easy everything was if they would just go out of their own shells. But right now was the moment of truth, and they were all anticipating with dry gulps and heavy inhales. Set aside Shikamaru's Moon Team members who knew how the two desperately fought for each other. Just say it, are you two official? Ino questioned with sternness, showing that she really belonged in the T&I division of Konoha. Hinata just avoided everybody's gazes as she knew her heart still couldn't keep quiet with all the happiness she was feeling right now. Naruto was trying to catch her eyes, and as soon as he did, he knew what the answer was. He smiled from ear to ear and said cheekily, yeah. The area was surrounded by loud squeals and hoots as Kiba tightened his grip around Naruto's neck, and so were the girls squeezing on Hinata. So you did say it after all, Hinata. Tenten cheerfully greeted. Actually, Hinata started, but it was Naruto who interrupted. It's me. I did. You. They were all astounded. Damn. Who would have thought? Kiba teased. How did you convince Hinata? Huh? What did you say? I just told her what I really feel. The rest waited for him to continue, but he hesitated and gave a shy grin instead. Just say it, Naruto. Sakura scolded, which made him jump into his feet. Naruto shared a look with Hinata. Right then and there, he knew that they both held no reservation on what they both feel for each other, and he was more than willing to let the whole world know how much he loves her. That the rest of my life, I only want to share it with you, Hinata. Naruto reached for Hinata's hand and smiled at her. Only with you, Hinata. At that moment, time stopped for the both of them and nothing else mattered. They didn't even bother about the presence of their friends. This was only the beginning, yet their jaws were hanging as their minds tried to process what to make out of Naruto's confession. It was not a simple profession of love, it was. Wait, did you just? Hello everyone. First, why Star Vessel? Star Vessel is the title of the credits song played during the last movie where we see scenes of Naruto and Hinata's wedding. The meaning of the song is about the beauty of being linked into one soul and becoming one and all. That's why. This can be a continuation of my previous story, Secret Lovers, which will now focus on Naruto and Hinata's relationship after the Moon mission. Just like in Secret Lovers, I started out with a short teaser chapter for this one. Updates will be on alternate week with my other work, Afternoon Sky, High School O. Happy Tanabata, your quirky novelist. Fern. Seated on his couch, Naruto was drying his freshly bathed hair. After their descent from the moon, they were warmly welcomed by their friends at the village. However, Sakura-chan was badly needed at the hospital, and it so happened that Hinata and Hanabi's father was also admitted there, and he must give them their own time. He must admit that the separation saddened him a little, but it instantly vanished when Hinata gave him a little kiss on the cheek. She quickly ran away after that, of course. At a night like this, the frozen bite of the wind should be sharply cutting his skin by now. But he was warm. He was feeling all warm on the inside, and he can't keep the smile off of his face. He couldn't believe it. The last time he went out of his apartment, he knew that his heart felt so light, like it was about to be carried away with a simple blow. However, who would have thought that he would come back differently? Now, his heart felt so full and heavy that he could feel it pulsing. Naruto thought that he'd only have this feeling while he's around Hinata, but he never knew that he'd be bringing it home with him. I never thought that you would notice. Kurama called out with a hint of a chuckle. Notice what? Naruto answered after being snapped out of his daydream. He stood up and realized, even you Dadbeo. It's been years since that little girl has been taken a fondness over you, Kit. It's hard not to miss. It's been years, he muttered to himself. Where had he been all those years for him to overlook those little things? Little things that mattered a lot to him now. You've been eating ramen, asking the other girl out, and running after that Sasuke brat. That's where you've been. Naruto sneered. He seriously didn't need this right now. He was having a great mood a while back, just thinking of him and Hinata, and now he was being reminded of how stupid he had been. Well, he got to admit it. Yeah, I was stupid, and you even knew things before I did, Ttebeo. His Biju chuckled at him, and all he could do was sigh. Do you still remember how you almost put your teammates in danger when you turned into Three Tails? Yes, Naruto remembered that incident at the Tenchi Bridge with Kabuto and Orochimaru. That one, where I got Sakura-chan wounded. Yes, I do. It was a regretful event. The last thing he really wanted was to hurt any of his friends with his own hands. When you turned Six Tails and attacked Pain, You deliberately turned the other way around to avoid hurting that girl. You might not know that, but she knew. What? I think you just didn't know what it meant, Kit. Stop wasting your time being upset now. Just be yourself and look forward. You got the girl now. That's right. Like, what's his next step anyway? How to do this relationship thing? He walked back and forth around his living room, squeezing his brains out. His friends uproared that his confession of love for Hinata was already a proposal and he meant it that way. But should he do something more? He always thought that those romance films were boring, but it looked like he needed those right now. Oh, and where's Ero Sennin just when he needed him the most? TCH. Perhaps, those Ika Ika novels weren't that boring after all. Okay. So, what now? He briskly paced around his apartment. Sakura-chan said that it would only be a few days before Hinata's birthday. And she need not to say anything. Naruto knew what must be done as Hinata's boyfriend. He knew Hinata. She's cute, she loved cute stuff and she's shy, so she'd probably prefer something low-key. What else? They both loved anything red bean, maybe. What else could she love? Well, he loves her. Okay. That's so out of topic. How could he think of what to give her, if all he could think about was the giddy feeling inside his chest? He must be losing his mind. That must be right. Naruto stopped from walking as a sudden realization hit him. He struck his head hard with his palm. He remembered inviting Hinata to his apartment for a cup ramen the night before the moon mission, and that was one hell of a freaking bad idea. His apartment was a mess. The villagers' gifts were placed atop anywhere. His pile of dirty clothes were still mountainous, just like his garbage. Well, at some point, he did some fixin' and cleanin' already, but it still wasn't Hinata worthy, you know. He'd better ask Konohamaru to drop by and help him with his house cleaning. That kid loved taking out some hand-me-downs from him. You're just like your mother. Panicking and overthinking about things. Get a hold of yourself, Kit. Naruto stopped for a while and elicited an exhale. You're right. You're right. He pinched his eyes closed and ruffled his hair with his towel. He must be going to sleep now, but he couldn't help himself from feeling excited and nervous at the same time. He wanted to be the best for her. What if he's not good enough? What if he's a total failure at this thing? Damn it. He threw himself on his bed and covered his face with the piece of the red scarf Hinata made for him. It smelled just like her. A lot of things happened to that piece of scarf already, but he could still identify every thread of it that was made of Hinata. Shit. He must be crazy. They said that the moon was always attributed to crazy people. This made him look at the distant and full moon up above, yet what came across him was something entirely different. His fingers moved on its own and trailed his lips. Although it was short, he could still remember how his kiss with Hinata felt like. It felt like his whole life was changed. Like his destiny was fulfilled. Like he could fly. Stupid, right? Well, he knew very little about kissing, but who cares anyway? The moment he felt her lips, he forgot everything he knew of. And if he was dumb, then he could have never been any dumber that moment. All that he knew was there was him and Hinata in this world. Her lips were soft, that it felt like a whisper against his. And he'd keep on whispering. Arg. Naruto twisted and turned in his bed as Kurama chuckled inside his mindscape. It was as if his face was splitting into half as an involuntary grin appeared on his face. He's just so happy, he didn't know how to contain it. He couldn't help it. Sun rays hit his eyes and his alarm clock started ringing, but he still was unable to open his eyes. Normally, he'd be awake even before his alarm clock rang. However, wonderful and heartfelt thoughts sent him off to sleep last night, and it gave him a really good slumber. It was filled of warmth, affection and Hinata. He smiled to himself, Hinata. His heart thumped heavily, he opened his eyes and sat up in panic. What if he was just dreaming? What if everything's just a dream? That Hinata. He gulped and nervously raised the pillow beside him. Thank God. He felt relieved as soon as he saw the piece of the red scarf. It was real after all. He ran a hand over his hair and exhaled. He was about to go sage mode just to double check, but Kurama scolded him that it was all real. He's paranoid and pathetic. Yes, he'd better get his sari going. Kakashi-sensei instructed him that he must report to him as soon as the morning comes. Hence, The first thing he did was find Hinata and to ask her if they could report together. Naruto went to the hospital, but they informed him that the Hyugas already left earlier, so she must be home by now. On the way to the manor, he came across her along the street. Contrary to his mission clothes, Hinata was wearing her civilian clothes. Her back was turned to him, she was walking silently, and it appeared as though she was in a deep thought. Naruto grinned and giggled cheekily. He was planning a surprise attack. Maybe with a hug from behind. Maybe that would shock her. Maybe that wouldn't be a good idea. Well, he'd be testing the waters for now to avoid overwhelming her. Naruto went close to Hinata's ear and called, "Hinata." He was near enough to feel her shiver. Naruto-kun. Then she gulped. Yup, he affirmed with eyes pinched closed in his signature way. Gee, good morning. Naruto fell silent. Why was Hinata acting so strange? Hinata reverted back to her own habits around him. She hadn't even looked at him. Well, it pained him a little. But after everything that happened, he knew better. There's something more to Hinata, so he must look and observe further. He could also sense that she was nervous over something. Could she be? Hinata didn't know what to do. She slept feeling triumphant and happy, but she woke up in uncertainty. Naruto-kun was insisting to look after them at the hospital last night, but she also wanted him to rest for she knew the efforts he exerted during their mission to save them. Now, it felt like a bad idea after all. Maybe Naruto-kun was right. But that would be selfish, because she just wanted proof that everything that happened wasn't a dream. Well, clearly, the moon approaching Earth wasn't a dream. Some of the establishments including Kurenai-sensei's house were taken down. What seemed to be a dream was Naruto-kun and her. Did they really? Good morning too, Hinata. Naruto-kun greeted back and he's so near her yet he looked so innocent. Things just got harder for Hinata. There's something about you, Datbeo. Naruto-kun chuckled boyishly. You must have gotten a great sleep last night. She fiddled her fingers together and took in a sharp inhale. Yes, I do. He pressed closer next to her so that their cheeks were only inches away. You do. Hinata got nervous all of a sudden and she lightly jumped away. Her face reflexively reddened. She closed her eyes firmly. She was acting like 10 years ago. She must sort things out. If they really got together, she must not let something so petty like this get in between them. If they didn't and it was all a dream, well, that dream taught her to brave and she'd face whatever she had to. Actually, Hinata forced the word out of herself and Naruto just slightly raised a brow, waiting for her, until she slowly turned to face him. Naruto-kun. Her eyes widened. She touched her cheek. Did Naruto-kun just? Then, she felt his arms wrapped around her from behind, their cheeks touching each other. That's the payback from last night. Naruto-kun. She looked up at him and studied his face. He seemed serious now. It wasn't a dream. He gave her another peck at the forehead. Sheesh. I was just teasing you back there. She was just looking at him with her wide eyes. I also thought the same too, you know. I thought everything's a dream. He added and this made her smile. You meanie. They both laughed heartily as Naruto tightened his hug on Hinata. She closed her eyes and relished his warm embrace. It was perfect. He pulled away, asking if they could report to Kakashi-sensei together, which she agreed upon cheerfully. Naruto-kun, she called as they walked hand in hand. How about if, when you were teasing me back there, how about if everything was a dream to begin with and we weren't together and then Yuki. Then, I'd let it be that way. I already kissed you, so I'd just tell you I love you. You are mine, Naruto-kun said carefreely. Then, he leaned and whispered in her ear, most importantly, you got all of me. He was giggling merrily beside her, yet she was blushing unbelievably. Hinata knew that Naruto-kun was just being honest, but she never really imagined that this would be this embarrassing deep inside. She was still not used to receiving affectionate words from someone, especially from him. Hinata could only imagine what would she feel like if Naruto-kun would go all endearing all over Konoha. It was rest assured that she must brace herself. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto blasted the room with a brilliant smile on his face, while not letting go of Hinata's hand. We're here to report TT Ibeo. Good morning, Hokage-sama. Hinata bowed courteously per usual. Oh yeah, Kakashi waved them off. An obvious smile was hidden under his mask. Well, look at you, it took you like what? 6 or more hours, Naruto inserted. Years, Kakashi continued. They stared at each other and Hinata watched as she knew that the two were after two different things. You said that we report in the morning, sensei. Naruto recalled. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about the two of you. Kakashi moved his hand hinting at Naruto and Hinata. When it comes to you, Naruto, the report about personal matters can be mixed up with missions reports most of the times. Hinata is relieved and excused from reporting since her father had already given necessary information and she already gave out some intel last night at the hospital. You, Naruto. Well, here's my ass, Naruto started but he was abruptly cut. No, for you, I decided it should be written. What? The blonde complained. What do you mean, written? You mean I have to write my report, as in paperwork's datbao? Yes, and I want you to report about the genjutsu and more on your psychological and emotional insights during the mission. Their Hokage informed as a matter of factly. What? Naruto couldn't believe it. Writing everything he'd been through would feel like he was bearing his soul. That moment at the cave when he thought Hinata left him was his most vulnerable ever. How the hey? Didn't you even need how Hinata and I managed to destroy the Tensegan? Or, any idea about Tonari's abilities, skills, huh? Hinata had already informed me about it. Just write me what I told you to report. It's for your background as the lined-up Hokage. Besides, because of that we must all protect your weakness. TCH. I know what you're doing TT Ibeo. Kakashi-sensei thought that he would buy that crap, but Naruto knew his motive. He was his sensei to begin with and he had a reputation. Naruto knew that Kakashi-sensei would just like to make his melodramatic romance in the moon as an extension to the novels he was reading. Sakura-chan and Sai must have already tipped to their sensei everything that happened between him and Hinata during the mission, including the personal ones. Naruto grunted in defeat. Fine. The two exited the Hokage's mansion and they were being greeted by their ko-ninjas as soon as they headed out. They weren't even married yet, but the people were treating them as if they just got hitched. Well, mainly Naruto because he was the village hero and who wouldn't be interested to find out that their hero had already gotten his girl. Scratch that out. Saved his girl and the world. The thought scared Hinata out. She's smart and ever since they were younger, she knew that Naruto-kun had a huge superhero complex, and she feared that she was just playing a role. Hinata shrugged the negative thought away and smiled. They were both walking peacefully when Konohamaru's calling bellowed from afar. Ni-chan. Naruto and Hinata stopped and looked from behind them. Konohamaru. Naruto asked as he noticed the boy catching his breath. Are you okay, Konohamaru-kun? They were running after me, core. Konohamaru pointed after Naruto's persistent fangirls. Good for you. Naruto congratulated and the boy shook his head. Bad for you. They're asking me if it's true. He stopped and looked at the two warily. If you and Nei-chan are really together, how did the two of you get together, blah 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 core. Not long enough, the fangirls arrived and bombarded Naruto. They crowded him that he didn't even know how to react. Have you opened my gift senpai? Is the news true? Naru-sama, can we eat ramen later? Is this just for publicity? Each was hoping that the terrifying news upon their Naruto-senpai's descent from the moon was just a hoax and nothing but to celebrate their hero's another triumphant mission. Hinata felt like drowning in the sea and it was dizzying. They were unlike her. They were up front and forward. She couldn't even cling to Naruto-kun even if she was already his girlfriend. Suddenly, she felt scared and insecure. She felt like a coward. What kind of a girlfriend was she? She started stepping back unconsciously and fidgeted on her bag. I just remembered, I have to do something. He didn't seem to have heard her. She remembered she still had to visit Kurenai-sensei and Mirai-chan at the shelter. Naruto-kun, I have to leave. You were frustrated when he got depressed. Their Hokage voiced out Shikamaru's own concern. Yeah, seriously. What did he know about relationships anyway? If he knew anything, he was picking it up from his parents and probably he would be picking up from Naruto and Hinata in the future. For sure, he'd be hearing a lot of stories from Naruto about Hinata and he'd carefully listen just for reference. Who knew that being with Sai for just a mission would also make him this curious? On the brighter side, he was exceptionally composed when Hinata's around. Shikamaru added. Sakura smiled and patted the raven-haired at the back. Well, at least, you got help now in babysitting Naruto. They all shared a laugh upon recalling how boisterous their blonde friend could get when hyped up. Sai was about to say something, but he decided to save it when he had an opportunity to talk about it alone with Naruto. Well, they were getting really close during the mission. Shikamaru added. It was inevitable. Sakura assured. I knew it would be. Shikamaru and Sai narrowed their eyes on her. What? Sakura asked them. You put Naruto and Hinata alone together, Sakura. Sai spilled. I suggested to tag along with them instead of you and Shikamaru, but you said to leave the two of them alone. Hey, don't you get started with me, Sai. Sakura refuted. The reason why you wanted to tag along with Naruto and Hinata was to use them as research subjects. In speaking of, why don't we have a non-fraternization rule while on a mission? Shikamaru suggested and shrugged. What? Sakura complained. Clearly, boys know nothing about relationships. That sort of thing can't be helped according to my books. Sai rebutted. Shikamaru's certain about one thing, these two had their own personal intentions. I think they're both right, Shikamaru. Their Hokage affirmed. Shikamaru could only rub the back of his neck and sigh. He knew that Kakashi-sensei was a hopeless romantic just like Sakura, and Sai was invested into relationships. While Naruto wasn't seriously into it before, with Hinata as his girlfriend, he had shown signs of being a potential lovesick. Now, Shikamaru was thankful he didn't belong to Team 7. The girls swarmed him that he couldn't even process how to manage them. They bombed him with questions here and there. Have you tried seeing other girls, senpai? Is she your type of girl? What did you see in her, Naru-sama? Naruto never knew that his relationship with Hinata would create an outburst. He thought they would not barge in, after all they were only after him because he saved the village and all, right? But it looked like Sakura-chan was right. He was stupid. These girls were interested about other things with him, and those things were something that didn't really cross his mind at all. He was not interested. Naruto-kun, I have to leave. That voice, it was soft and he knew too well from whom it was from amidst the crowd. His heart dropped and he paled in an instant. He noticed that he no longer had her hand in his. She must have thought that he wasn't noticing her anymore and he casted her out. No. How did he let it happen? Why was he so good at letting her slip away? He felt scared and insecure. He felt like a coward. Naruto grabbed Hinata's wrist. You're not leaving me. His voice was loud, and it caught everybody's attention, stopping them from talking. Hinata felt Naruto's grip on her wrist was tight, but his eyes were full of gentle pleading. Please don't leave me again, Hinata. Please, just stay. His eyes were tenderly searching hers, and that's when everything hit her. It's true, what they say about relationships. It wasn't perfect after all. She and Naruto-kun were both humans, and as humans, they were both broken. She'd rather not let these broken parts of themselves break what made the two of them whole. I won't, Naruto-kun. She smiled at him and held his hand. She felt relief when he released the tension on his shoulders. I just remembered that I should visit Kurenai-sensei and Mirai-chan. That's all. Naruto sighed and tapped his forehead on hers. We'll visit them, okay. Hinata nodded. Together, Naruto added. Reflexively, she looked up at him, and before she could even say anything, she felt his lips on hers and her eyes closed on their own. He was swift and a bit aggressive this time, unlike the one on the moon. His hands were on her shoulders, holding her in place. He pulled away. It really felt short, however. He was blushing up to his ear, and Hinata loved seeing him blush this way, although she's sure she was just as red as he was. Naruto covered his lips with his fist and managed out a dry cough. Let's go. Hinata could only nod in agreement. The two sped away, leaving the people around gaping, including Konohamaru. Naruto carried Hinata all the way atop the Hokage rock. All she did was bury her face onto his chest, avoiding the villagers' stare. She heard there, it's them. Those two, it's real. In the background, but it didn't matter. She was still trying to process that she was in Naruto-kun's arms and her senses was filled up by him. As soon as they reached the top, specifically the fourths, Naruto sat down and Hinata remained standing. Silence rolled in between them. They needed to talk. It was apparent that they had a connection, that they could understand each other just by looking at each other's eyes. They were both aware of that by now. However, communication was also a vital part of relationship. They couldn't just rely on the fact that they were, what? Soulmates or something. Come on. Naruto didn't even know what soulmates mean. Hinata sighed. She was always the one who held back. This time she had to step forward and be brave. She had to be open and assertive. She was about to speak but, Hinata, I have to admit something to you. Naruto started. He had always kept her waiting, but he won't be doing that anymore. I'm a shinobi and people view me as a hero and all. I saved the village, it's just about right. Yeah, Hinata just nodded her head. I was saving a lot of princesses here and there. Some wanted me to marry them and I think they're really insane. I fought a lot of bad guys, it was really cool. But that one with Tonari was different. She just looked as he was gazing upon sky. His eyes were full of sincerity and vulnerability. It wasn't because I wanted to one-up Tonari and prove that I was a better man despite our height difference, no. What am I even talking about? Naruto cleared things up, panicking not to let Hinata misunderstand where he's heading to. I'll be honest, he's stronger than me, more handsome and, yeah, he got the nerve to marry you. When I saw you with him at the altar, my blood ran cold, Hinata. Naruto-kun, she scooted beside him. But it was no longer about saving a princess nor fighting the bad guy. Yes, I thought about the village. I thought about my friends. I thought about you. He looked at her straight in the eyes. But it was still different, Hinata. Because this time, it was personal. The winter wind blew and its quiet howling could be heard atop the rock. Naruto formed a bittersweet yet fragile smile. It took you so long to knit this scarf and it took me so long to reach your feelings. I wanted us to have a chance together. That's why I won't let it end just like that. Hinata watched as he reverted his gaze to the sky. I remembered someone had asked me before, that, if someone who acknowledged me from the bottom of my heart appeared, wouldn't that someone become the most important person to me? He looked at her again and cradled her cheek on his hand. That's you, Hinata. That's what you are to me. You're the one I wanted to protect with all my heart. It's selfish, I know. I'm not that heroic after all. She could see it in his eyes. How could she question? It wasn't just a complex. Naruto-kun, that's not true. She lovingly held his hand that cradled her face. I've been selfish before, haven't I? It was uncanny that he could answer her question without her even asking, and that alone made her confident. He answered with such honesty and bravery in showing his weakest side. In her eyes, that only made Naruto-kun even stronger, thus she must be too. Naruto grinned. Then he wiped the stray tears off her face, gently caressed the top of her head and tucked a few strands of her hair behind her ear. Are you still scared? Well, you really look tough now. But you still look tensed, Naruto-kun. She smiled sweetly and he pouted. It's just that, he blew off some steam and ran his mouth without even thinking, a habit he inherited straight from his mom. Our friends said that what I did was already a, proposal, something like that, and I should do it properly, and they said I should get a ring and do that stuff, do this, do that. I don't even know anymore. I pretty much spilled everything and gave myself away Ibeo. It won't be romantic anymore and I totally failed in. Naruto-kun, I know I couldn't stop you if you want to do things for me, because I might do just the same for you. But asking me to be with you, to live with you, and, she took his hand and cradled it between her hands. Whatever you said at the moon, for me, is more than enough. Naruto just looked at her serene face. He could really stare at her forever. How could he miss how beautiful and breathtaking she was all these years? It's what I like, Naruto-kun, because it's you. It's all you and it's real. Nothing in this world could usurp whatever you said and did there for us. I might be selfish, but I also wanted to have a chance to be with you, Naruto-kun. I don't know if, he understood her. She was simple, humble and kind. She was Hinata and she just wanted them. That was also what he yearned for. Hinata noticed the shift in Naruto-kun's eyes. They became more serious. He pulled his hand away from her hold and gripped on her shoulders. Wait. She stood up and fidgeted. I haven't really answered you properly, Naruto-kun. First and foremost, she really meant to do this. So here it goes. From now on, forever and ever, until I die, I want to be with you, Naruto-ku. Naruto's strong arms were wrapped around her. He was snuggled just right at the corner of her neck. Slowly, he was pulling her down to sit. He slightly pulled away and caught her gaze. They leant close and captured each other's lips. This time they would make it long. Their lips clashed and it was not beautiful. It was amateur in all levels, like they were both griping in the dark. They were both awkward and still learning how to properly do it. But they were both patient to learn and they were learning together. The kisses they shared thus far were simple, perhaps that's why they're only short. But things you wanted to keep for long, must be learned. It won't be spectacular at first, but once you knew how to make it last, it would be something beyond words. Naruto smiled at their kiss when he knew that they both got the hang of it. Hinata felt it too, and soon, Naruto started giggling and she couldn't contain hers as well. Well, we're fast learners, Naruto said with a mischievous grin. Hinata just dipped her head low, still embarrassed. That was like, he tapped a finger on his chin. 2 minutes, I guess. Naruto-kun. She playfully swatted him as they both stood up while laughing. They both looked in awe at their village. It was developing and it's a good feeling that they developed together with it. Hey, Hinata, while we're here, there's something I'd really like to do. I'd just really want to get it out of my chest, you know. She just looked at him querulously. He whispered something on her ear, which made her blush slightly. However, Naruto-kun had that dopey smile on his face and she couldn't just reject his request. Well, she couldn't help it. Naruto-kun will always be the boisterous and exuberant Naruto-kun, while she would still be the awkward and shy Hinata. Can I? He asked. She nodded in response and Naruto-kun grinned happily. No one would practically hear, right? Right. On the second thought, her father still didn't know yet and their manor was just at the foot of the mountain. Hold on a sec. I love Hinata tte Bayu. Oh Kami. Hinata immediately covered her face. She knew no one could see them, but that was just so embarrassing she even forgot breathing. Naruto-kun. Hello everyone. So they're back. All relationships are not perfect. Period. I just don't like it when after the last fanfics often painted Naruto and Hinata as something perfect when they are our proud failures in the first place. I know that we could all agree that Naruto was the cheesiest one in here, that he could ember the hell out of Hinata. On the other hand, at some point, this can bring out the more from Hinata. Like emotions she had never felt before. While Hinata was still OFC the quiet ones between them. It wasn't perfect and a lot can arise from that, but it would all be wonderful. Again. See you. Till next update. Your quirky novelist, Fern. P.S. Writing Naruto screaming atop the Hokage rock embarrassed me as well, but it's so him. I just saw him doing that somehow. Chat time. I was about to write you guys like how I usually did it, but realized that your comments were about the same bananas, so here we go. OMG. Thank you so much. I hope I could keep the excitement going. Yes. I'm back and I based the previous chapter on the art. I wanted to feel how it was to be exactly there at that moment. For jelly, flirty, clingy Naruto. I won't hold back anymore. But I won't overdo either. I'll change the description and perhaps add that the T might change to M anytime soon, winks. Secret Lovers was special to me. It kinda felt canon. Well, there are scenes. This is me critiquing myself, anyway. Things are cheesy and light for Naruto and Hinata right now, but of course, they'll have their moments. Where they'll do moments. Dun 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 dun. The savory scent of their meat on the sizzling plate was wafting in the atmosphere. Normally, the guys would just cook for their own piece and probably try to cook Naruto out since he's the noobest one out of all of them in terms of yakiniku, but this time was different. They needed him to dish out things about his current state in life. This time, they were generously giving them some of what they already cooked. Aha. Naruto got to be the one to have a relationship among the boys. Yeah, what a surprising twist of fate. The densest boy got his own girl first. That's why they wanted to know how it was like to be in a relationship. Needless to say, their victory at the war rendered their missions boring and gave them space for their personal lives. Now's probably their time to make their own moves in making their romance work. Yeah, They were guys and guys weren't supposed to be focused on this mushy stuff after all, and that's the shit a common judgmental person would say, but they don't hella care. If Naruto was lucky enough, maybe they were too. Just by looking at the blonde's stupid grin and slightly blushing cheeks made them intrigued. Although, Kiba was hiding it behind an irritated reaction. Do you know how you look like right now, shitface? The Inuzuka quipped as he nudged Naruto's arm. No, not really. The blonde retorted, not giving them any care as he ate another of his portion, goofy grin not leaving his face. The other boys shared a look except for the nonchalant Shikamaru, who was just observing the event that was unfolding before him. It was safe to say that Naruto's soul was not in his body ever since they got here to catch up with each other. He would burst into little chuckles out of nowhere after staring at nothing, and it seemed that no one can ever wipe off that cheekiness on his face. I can't believe you could look more stupid than you look like before. Sai shaded and Naruto just stared at him cluelessly. I don't really know what's up with you, guys. What's up with us? Kiba animatedly commented. What's up with us? Really? Naruto, you've been acting like you're out of yourself this whole time. You're acting a lot like Hinata whenever she sees you PBY or something. Naruto blushed a little and his attention appeared to be caught now. Really? Shino placed a hand atop Kiba's shoulder. Enough, Kiba. We must not disclose team secrets. Look, Naruto, we're here because of you and Hinata-san. They glared at Sai for spilling their hidden agenda out in the open. Trust him in saying the appropriate things at the most convenient of times. Naruto chuckled sheepishly. Oh, this is actually about us, huh? Kiba reacted and tried to deny the situation, which was making Shikamaru sigh in frustration. Because even if Naruto appeared to be dense, he ain't that stupid to believe them after Sai just ratted them all out. Choji and Shino were just giving him his much-needed sympathetic look for support. It was Lee who came clean. Actually, Naruto-kun. Naruto listened intently to the concerns and curiosity of his friends in the throes of romance, especially that they have no experience of it or whatsoever. They already knew the whirlwind love story the two had in the moon, but it wasn't enough. They wanted knowledge about having a girlfriend. And Naruto figured that this might be their own version of the girl's girl talk that Sakura-chan was talking about when she took Hinata away earlier. The blonde just rubbed the back of his head habitually. I don't really know where to start, so I guess you can just ask me questions and I'll see if I can answer them. Ibeo. In a rush, he was asked by his more interested friends. Did you already ask her out on a date? How is it? What was it like? The blonde fidgeted a little. Well, Naruto teased as he took a piece of meat in his mouth and his friends waited in anticipation. Well, Sai pressed as Naruto held up one finger and drank his water. His friends looked at him with waiting eyes. Like they were hungry customers and he was the meal being cooked. He laughed at their eagerness. He didn't know they'd be this interested. Honestly, maybe they were all interested even before and it was just him who wasn't into this kind of stuff. Well, not anymore. Not anymore, now that Hinata's with him. Fine. Well, I asked Hinata for just say it, Naruto. Kiba impatiently dared. Naruto didn't know if he should really share this, but he saw nothing bad about it, so he took a deep inhale and told them what he asked Hinata for. Their mouths all hung open, even Shikamaru, who was so chill a while back, was so shook. What the? They all stared at Naruto with their widest eyes ever. The night was cold, but the moon's light was giving off a different kind of aura Naruto couldn't really identify. Silently, they were walking side by side. He casted a glance on her and found relief that she was sporting a relieved smile. All he knew was he was feeling both nervous and excited at the same time. He did a lot of preparations for this. He just wanted everything to feel warm and comfortable for her. Well, we're here. And he knew it came out a bit anxious. Naruto invited Hinata up into his apartment for a cup ramen. Yesterday, he remembered the night Hinata was waiting for him at the foot of his apartment before Tonari showed up. He invited her up back then, but she ran away before he could even convince her. It's a good thing though, since he just found out that there's a lot he had to do before he can actually let her inside his home. Well, he was just hoping that he and Konohamaru did everything right. He let her in first, which was a pretty bad idea for he could see a stray foil from the chips he ate few days ago on the floor. Panicking, he immediately and covertly picked the foil up. Hinata turned to him and he chuckled nervously in return. I think I gotta prepare our cup ramen. He segued as she trailed behind him. Hinata perused the apartment with bewilderment. She never really expected that she would get the opportunity to visit him in his home, in the place that sheltered him for all his life. She thought how cold and lonely he might have felt all those times. Ah, I forgot. I haven't taken our cup ramen out of the bag. Naruto exclaimed and ran a hand over his face. I'll be right back. Why was he failing miserably right now? Hinata just giggled and waved her hands dismissively. No worries, Naruto-kun. It's all fine. Embarrassed, he just rubbed the back of his head and dejectedly hurried inside his bedroom. There, he witnessed that his atrocities hadn't really lessened. How could he possibly sleep in here? Some of the stuff from his living room were all piled up atop his bed in a very disorganized way ever. Well, it's just fine and he would be keeping Hinata away from his bedroom all the time she's here in his apartment. But now, he must find his cup ramen amidst all this mess first. On the other hand, Hinata, who was patiently waiting for Naruto, stood up as she noticed that the water heater was not turned on. With careful hands, she plugged the appliance and pushed the button to start heating. She distanced away but her skirt was hooked on one of the cupboard's handle. This action opened the cabinet and she giggled upon what she saw. Empty cups of ramen were stacked up on each other including used chopsticks. Well, this was no surprise to her after all, since she caught Naruto-kun picked up the stray foil from a while ago. However, she just decided to keep quiet about it. She was supposed to do the same for this stack of empty cups as well, but her meticulousness in maintaining strict cleanliness and order got in her way. She threw the trash into the garbage can and figured that maybe Naruto-kun wouldn't notice what she did, however she jumped a little at the sound of crumbling objects. Naruto-kun. Worriedly, she ran after his bedroom and was welcomed by the sight of his boyfriend looking horrified and unwell. Hinata. This is. Her eyes roamed around his bedroom and without thinking, she went in to bring orderliness. She started gathering the stuff up and figuring out how can she clean everything up. You shouldn't do this. I mean you don't have to Ibeo. Naruto exasperatedly told Hinata while trying to help her pick things up. It's okay, Naruto-kun. I'd love to do this. Unless, reluctantly, he allowed her to pick up his mess while watching in awe. I'm sorry about this. I'm not really used to having anyone else around the house and I've only invited Shikamaru and the gang with me up here ever since. That's why, anyway, I tried to clean things up, believe me. Smiling softly, she affirmed, it's okay Naruto-kun. I know that it can be really difficult to organize things sometimes, especially if you're so hardworking on your trainings. He rubbed his hand at back of his head embarrassedly. Well, if you would put it like that. One by one, Hinata managed to sort Naruto's things out while he helped a little. He picked up the stray trash and kept it in a bag for his disposal later on. In no time, his bedroom was clear, his bed was free of any objects and his things were all properly stuffed in his wardrobe and atop his desk. I tasked Konohamaru to pick the garbage out and organize a little while I repair some fixtures, but that little kid, Naruto sighed and recalled. Well, I have fixed some broken stuff way back. I think a lot of months ago or maybe even a year. I was thinking that I could invite someone else. Someone else. Hinata was just plain curious on who could be that person Naruto-kun would be preparing and fixing stuff for. Oh, maybe Tsunade-sama for she might scold him. Perhaps, the Sandaime and his siblings. Carefreely, he answered. Well, yeah, someone. Actually that someone is. Naruto stopped and Hinata looked at his blank expression that made him look like he was figuring something out or have figured something out. Someone. That someone is. He couldn't believe himself. It's actually Hinata. He thought that maybe she would drop by his home or perhaps he could invite her up. Why would he invite her way back then anyway? Yeah, that's because they were super close after the war and. He gulped dryly as his heart began pounding in his chest. Even back then, Hinata was running around his mind and, how could he be so stupid? Suddenly, he was brought back into reality as he felt something warm on his forehead. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? You're quite flushed, she asked, while her hand was atop his forehead. He slightly jumped along the beat of his heart and gently grabbed her hand away from his head, holding her by the wrist. He was supposed to say something cool or funny or incredibly stupid to change the topic, but he was caught by her slight blush, the way the light outside illuminated her beautiful face and damn her eyes. In a snap, his mind turned blank. Hinata just stared frozen. She didn't know what was happening, but she was no power over it. Looking at Naruto-kun's half-lidded eyes and his very odd and manly expression which she just witnessed for the first time made her a bit weak to the circumstances. He was inching towards her and she could see him breathing through his lips. She was stepping backwards a little and he noticed that she was pulling him. They were getting closer and closer until, with the tip of his toe, he felt the foot of his bed. His bed. Panicking, he pulled away from her and she sat on his bed due to loss of balance. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was not a part of his plans. She was puzzled at first, but as soon as she realized where they're at and what they were about to do, she hid her eyes from him. Both of them, alone in a small dark room with a comfy-looking bed and pretty cold atmosphere. He hesitated. That's, she muttered. For a while, they remained quiet as they both tried composing themselves. I think the water is ready, Naruto managed to say and Hinata agreed. She went out of the room first and he made sure that he closed his bedroom door shut. That damn room was feeding him evil thoughts and tempting him to do things he never planned to do to Hinata. Now, he must bear the suffering of having her in his room and… Shit. What was happening to him? Looks like the couch was an even better option for him to sleep in tonight. They ate ramen avoiding each other's gazes and feeling embarrassed and cautious. Naruto accidentally saw his face through his metal spoon and God, was he red? It's just the ramen, but not. This made him curious and he snuck a glance at Hinata. Was she blushing like usual too, just like him right now? Was she shying away too? However, she was looking more comfortable than him. She moved and tried to get her glove water. He tried to help her, but as soon as he touched her hand, his heart jumped which made him pull away all too sudden. He looked at her again and she returned the gaze. The moment they met each other's eyes, they swiftly turned their heads away. Naruto was finding it hard to breathe and so was Hinata. The air felt so thick for certain reasons and it was making him nervous and fidgety. Naruto started out noticing that they're both done eating. I guess we should check out something on TV. Yes, sure, Hinata agreed with a smile, while Naruto threw their empty ramen cups in the bin. They sat on the floor together with him chuckling really awkwardly. He also kept in mind to maintain enough distance between them or else his couch would no longer be the best option to sleep in. They turned on the TV, but it seemed as though none of them were comfortable to watch anything. As if knowing what each other felt, they both met one another's eyes. This distance between them was bothering as they wanted to close that space. Naruto released a tensed sigh and scolded himself for being such a wimp. He was definitely acting not like himself. Yeah, it was all because of Hinata's presence, but he should man up and make the most out of this time they have for each other. It's enough that she discovered his rubbish scattered all over, now he must make amends for how he destroyed everything. Finding his resolve, he slid close to her side and wrapped an arm around her, still avoiding her gaze as he was still feeling shy about everything. Yes, he was shy. He might seem confident for always, and he was still even during the past few days. But for those days, the both of them were surrounded by a lot of people and the actual time they got to spend alone with each other was this moment. He was just feeling everything now. Like, it's getting even more real that it's just the two of them. And he couldn't believe this for the world, that he finally found someone to spend time with inside his home. It's not just someone, it's Hinata, the woman whom, out of his stupidity and heartaches, he wanted to be within every second of his life and that, he was sure of. Hinata rested her head on his shoulder with a breath of relief. It was warm and comfortable to be with Naruto-kun like this and she felt more joy when he pressed his cheek atop her head. They remained still for a while, actively enjoying how it felt to be in each other's arms while passively watching the random show on the television. However, Hinata's eyes landed on the things hidden under the TV stand by accident. She gulped lightly and stiffened knowing that she must control her reflex, Successfully she managed to talk herself out of it and loosed up. You've seen it, haven't you? Naruto asked carefully. Hinata nodded softly. She couldn't lie. Looking up at him, he kind of picked up what she's been wanting to do. Do you wanna, clean stuff here? He muttered, unsure. Yes, Naruto-kun. It would be an honor for me. Thank you very much. I mean, if you're going to let me do so. He just didn't know how much Hinata loved organizing and cleaning things up, and doing this for Naruto-kun made it even more special. Naruto sighed and giggled. Seeing the delight in her eyes, he playfully responded. It should be me who should be thanking you, Dadbeo. Oh, sorry. I was just too overjoyed. Sure. She was brimming with excitement. Yes, the Hyugas were always known for their order, but everyone in the compound knew that no one could top their Hinata-sama in maintaining orderliness even in the tiniest of detail. Her eyes were not only sharp in battle but also keen in disarrays and untidiness. And nope, she was not doing all of these things out of obligation. Much to everyone's shock, she was rather having a lot of fun. Hinata was aware that she couldn't help it when something's not properly arranged or if something's cluttered. She felt like she was relieving stress whenever she tidied something up. It felt like an accomplishment. It felt like she actually channeled everything negative and cleaned it out of herself somehow. Cleaning it is, if Hinata says so, Naruto happily announced. Though he wasn't originally interested in cleaning at all, somehow it felt exciting to do it with Hinata. I've got to prove that you can't defeat me in this cleaning mission, Ibeo. Hinata laughed at Naruto-kun's playful jab and teased, as long as there's no Kage Bunshin, please. Heartily, they basked in the comfort each of them naturally gave each other. Naruto knew that this apartment won't feel the same again now that she set foot into this place and left her own mark in each corner she managed to arrange. It seemed like Hinata wiped away the tears of loneliness and solitude he spent in his home with every step she took. That's what she was doing for him all this time. Hinata cleaning his home must be trivial for some, but to him, it was a reminder of how she also put him in order in times when he was all messed up and couldn't pick himself up together. It was her, only her, and Hinata felt honored to do all of this. Naruto-kun letting her clean his place meant that he was open to revealing his vulnerabilities, even if, at first, he thought he was embarrassing himself in front of her. Although she had a feeling that this was not the way Naruto-kun planned everything to turn out, she's happy that he opened the doors of his home for her, and that was more than enough. You what? Sakura-chan and Ino-chan reacted boisterously with their faces red and extreme facial expression. Wait, Hinata. Tenten-chan interjected, and it looked like she could not believe what she just heard. So, if we heard it right, Naruto invited you into his apartment for ramen. The girls decided to meet at a dessert shop just to get Hinata spill the tea about her relationship with Naruto. They thought that the boys were doing just the same when they invited Naruto out for a yakiniku at the same time. They expected Hinata to dish out about what she felt and if guys really have the capacity to be romantic. Because those shinobis, even though they're great at battle, they're idiots in love. However, what they got was an even more unbelievable and shocking revelation. Hinata blushed and squirmed as if she really didn't know how to answer the question. Yeah, actually, Naruto-kun did. The other girls got their mouths hanging open. Hinata. Her aggravated pink-haired friend squeezed her shoulders, though her face was full of concern and annoyance at the same time. Tell me what that idiot Naruto did to you. On one hand, Hinata was confused as to why Sakura-chan acted in such a manner. Until, Ino-chan placed a hand on her shoulder, eliciting a brief sigh. Hey, Sakura, would calm down a bit. I don't think Hinata understands what you're talking about. Sakura-chan seemed to finally get what was told of her. I'm sorry about that, Hinata. I guess, I overreacted a little. Hinata was still immensely puzzled. She didn't know what they're talking about. What's wrong about Naruto-kun inviting her up for a cup ramen in his apartment? You see, Hinata, if a guy invites for a ramen in his apartment, Tenten started but found it hard to continue. Ino slightly shook her head in exasperation. Listen, while inside Naruto's apartment, do you, feel like the air was kinda heavy? Sakura seemed to pick up on the pace and added, like you're breathing the same air and you find it a bit hard to breathe. Like you want to be beside him, literally, like you want to be closer. The shy girl's face was gradually turning red as she could put a check mark on all of the items they told her. Well, Hinata whispered, sounding hesitant. Tenten took in an inhale of bravery and put everything in a straightforward manner. Hinata, if a guy invites for a ramen in his apartment, it means that he wanted to get a chance to be intimate with you. Physically. The pale-eyed girl just stared at them blankly with her stern yet contemplative face as if trying to digest everything in. Now, she recalled that Hanabi reminded her that ramen also meant another kind of thing for men. She didn't know it back then, but now. Her face turned full-blown red and dismissed her friend's notion in panic while she waved her hands in disagreement animatedly. No. That's Naruto-kun and I did nothing like that. Accepting the invitation meant that you wanted the same too, Hinata. The girls replied worriedly. But, Hinata recalled her stay at Naruto-kun's apartment. Everything felt alright and fun for her. Well, except from that time inside his bedroom. Well, that was just unplanned, and she could tell it from Naruto-kun's unlikely behavior afterwards. It's a thing, believe us. Imagine a man and a woman, both attracted to each other, stuck in one small apartment as they sip a hot bowl of ramen that's making the air a lot thicker and warmer. There's just you and him in that silence, and it was making the both of you feel nervous, and at the same time, the longing you feel for each other is getting stronger. Ino said as a matter of factly. Well, Hinata could say that something like that happened, but she was well aware that it was just an accident. Perhaps, that's why Naruto-kun was avoiding her gaze while they ate ramen. He must be. She shook the thought away. She shouldn't be thinking of these things. Sakura, noticing that Hinata was in a deep thought and a little bit too embarrassed already, tried to save her head from this very mind-boggling topic. Well, we have nothing to worry about, anyway. Naruto was too dense to know what that idiom even means, and I'm sure that he won't do anything that would make Hinata uncomfortable. Well, it's true. He kept on saying your name on missions even before the two of you got together. Ino inadvertently opened up, which garnered her a surprised look from Hinata and a cautious one from Tenten and Sakura. Yes, it was a story for another time. Inviting a girl up for a ramen is kind of a special technique guys use, Naruto. Technique? A jutsu? The blonde innocently asked. Well, I guess, something like that. Choji quipped in efforts to make him comprehend what the phrase really meant. Kiba chugged his beer and explained as calmly as possible. Listen, when you invite a girl for a ramen into your apartment, it means that you want to have a chance to touch her. Touch? Naruto then asked with wide and clueless eyes as the guys nodded in agreement. Yeah, just like the ones in your sensei's perverted books. Kiba answered nonchalantly. Hey, Naruto reacted incredulously. He just couldn't believe this. What are you even talking about? I won't do such things to Hinata. Really? Sai commented in a teasing manner. Ha, I'm not that kind of man, Dadbeo. Let's see how long you can hold into your word, Naruto. The Inuzuka mocked. Don't ever question my Nindo. Sai began his litany. So, even if there's just the two of you and the room felt too small that it's very difficult to breathe. Even if you're trying to avoid her gaze because you know that you can't remove your eyes from her. You wanted to be close to her so badly that you feel anxious and scared because you're not acting like yourself. What if you can't wipe her away from your mind and you still have her lingering into your head while forcing yourself to sleep? Wah! Sai was then halted by the wiser Shikamaru, who knew and witnessed Naruto's current distress over the matter. He knew how deep Naruto felt to rock bottom when Hinata rejected him during their moon mission. Definitely, he knew how Naruto was taking everything about his girlfriend very seriously. I didn't. What if Hinata found it uncomfortable? What if I really messed us up? I can't afford to. What if she wouldn't like to see me anymore after what happened? Oh, his sweet and innocent Hinata. What had he done? Wow, you're making it sound like something really happened there. Kiba snorted. On one hand, Shino threw his reckless-mouthed teammate a glare. Just keep calm, Naruto. Raised as a Hyuga, I'm sure that Hinata isn't also aware of street phrases like that. That's right, Naruto-kun. Hinata-san has always been understanding. Knowing you always have the best intention at heart, and I know that she also knows that. Lee brightly assured the worrying blonde. He better come clean and resolve this as soon as possible before anyone could ever tell her first. Naruto thought while tapping his foot restlessly. And the guys thought they would be able to gather some piece of advice from Naruto, but in the end they figured that his relationship was still a team effort. Some decorations from the Rinne festival were still intact, and it seemed as if the festivities weren't even done yet, as the villagers were now starting to prepare for their New Year's celebration. They said that this year's going to be the biggest one thus far, as this was the year when the village fully recovered from the fragments from the war. However, a few days back, devastating debris from the moon wounded their Konoha again. Still, the citizens were still determined to make this year the best one. Naruto was walking along the village with a faraway look. He felt like he still had a dilemma that he wanted to solve, but he also didn't want to disturb Hinata's girl talk. However, once he'd see her, he'll immediately clear things up. Naruto-kun. That soft voice. Hinata. And although he was waiting for her all day long, he didn't know why he was frozen and afraid to meet her eyes. Are you alright, Naruto-kun? She asked as she circled around to face him. Naruto took in a deep breath and looked at the right side of the sky up above while rubbing the back of his head. Ah, Hinata. Hey. Yeah, of course, I am. Damn it. He better stop acting this silly. About the other night, Naruto faced her and asked, "Do Sakura-chan and others?" Hinata just nodded in affirmation, while Naruto exhaled in frustration and slumped his shoulders. Believe me, I just knew what it really means, and I just want to tell you that I won't do anything that will make you uncomfortable, and he turned his focus on the ground wearing his embarrassed and childish pout. I hope you're not disappointed about it. Slowly, he shifted his eyes on her. Hinata could see how Naruto-kun's face was blushing and how terribly embarrassed he was. It was very unlikely for him to act all shy, but the boyishness in his expression made her feel bubbly on the inside. She giggled free-spiritedly at the thought, which made him wonder. It's okay, Naruto-kun. I'm not upset or anything. I believe in you. His grin finally returned to his features as he chuckled. Well, maybe he could not invite Hinata any longer to his home after what happened, but he had her and she wasn't upset. That's the most important. It had been days since they had gotten together, but every second, every minute and every hour that makes every day count now for Naruto. They continued the day and walked together after a satisfying bowl of ramen at Ichiraku's. Passing by at the nearby playground, he remembered that this was where the Tonari almost got Hinata away from him the night prior their moon mission. His face dropped at the sight and she noticed it for sure. Hinata tapped Naruto's shoulder, which prompted him to look at her. I was thinking, maybe we could watch the feature film together, in your home, I guess. He just stared at her with wide eyes. How could he process this? How could he process this when there's just too much going on? She blushes and waved her hands dismissively and explained. Nah, I mean I'm not, it's not like that. It's okay, if you don't want to. I mean, I think maybe Naruto-kun was lonely being alone there, and that's something that's really saddens me for a long time, and I figured maybe I could accompany you for a while, and Naruto tried to assess all the stirring emotions he was having. First, he was excited, yet he was really nervous as hell, after all the information the guys implanted into his head. Well, he told Kiba off that no one should dare question his Nindo. And he really meant it, he really meant what he said, that he wasn't that kind of man. The other night, his cleaning mission with Hinata was fun, and the moment when they were so close together and were in each other's arms was the most comfortable he had been with ever. He wouldn't waste an opportunity like that just because of bad thoughts. Most especially, what Hinata said was true. He was happy, rather they were happy together, and that fact warmed his heart all over. If you say so, Naruto responded coyly as he took Hinata's hand in his and they both started walking together. He glanced down at her and beamed his childishly mischievous smile. She softly laughed in return at his playfulness, and he sealed everything by planting a kiss on her forehead. Remember that night when you were waiting at the foot of my apartment? Hinata blushed and hastily turned her face away in embarrassment. That was the time when she almost confessed to Naruto-kun but thought that his affections already belonged to someone else, and that was also the time when Naruto-kun. I was thinking, with pinched eyes and a grin, he was sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. I was thinking that maybe you're still up for a cup ramen in my room. Quote, comma, quote. Naruto waved his, nah Naruto-kun. She hid her hands behind her, trying to conceal her long-avoided habit of fiddling. Gee, he chuckled. I get it, if you don't wanna. No, she exclaimed, then tried to clarify. I just can't put things into words, but I think I'd go. I'd go later, Naruto-kun. Where to start? Oh no, there's a lot in there, Ibeo. He deeply inhaled as he brushed his hand through his hair. I guess, I better ask Konohamaru for help or. Naruto-kun, that's. She tried to appease his overjoyed boyfriend, until she realized how much this mattered to him. I remember that I promised to hang out with Hanabi at home this afternoon. If you want, Naruto-kun, we can meet later. Yeah, that would be perfect. He agreed as if it was a bright idea. I'll pick you up at the corner near your street. She nodded her head in agreement. Before they headed their own paths and separate. The available ninjas belonging to the known Konoha 11 gathered and brainstormed for a very important and critical mission. The New Year's Eve festival was approaching, yet here they were huddling over the best course of action. Just like during the war, this time was also for one Uzumaki Naruto. What did you guys do this time? Sakura and Ino asked while running towards their comrades. Naruto slumped his shoulders and sighed heavily. Oh, come on now, Naruto. You gotta be kidding me. Kiba angrily remarked at the blonde. The Inuzuka pinched the bridge of his nose and shook his head. Hinata's not even rejecting you yet. You're just buying her a gift. Sai, although smiling, was already waving his arms in an X manner as a form of warning that that specific topic was extremely red flag. Kiba. Sakura warily put a hand on Kiba's shoulder and shook her head dismissively. You don't even want to go there. So what have you guys planned so far? Ino asked, trying to move things forward. Tenten, who was twirling her kunai, informed, well, these guys planned to have Naruto buy a special crochet set for Hinata, but they saw her and her clansmen exit a stationery shop with a better crochet set in hand. What? I'm sorry. Crochet set? Ino asked, and she burst in laughter with Sakura. Sakura was even out of breath. What do you think of Hinata? Some grandma or something? The boys looked at each other questioningly. Like, they didn't exactly get it. Who gets girls anyway? Well, come to think of it, Hinata has grandma hobbies, based on my observation. Shino interjected as he pushed up his specs. Grandma hobbies. Kiba tried to stifle his laugh, but it was so true. Hinata did have grandma hobbies. It was also his observation even before, but he couldn't exactly put a name for it. He just couldn't help but laugh that they have a label for it now and he had something new to tease her with. Hey, who cares if Hinata has grandma hobbies, Ibeo? There's nothing funny with it. Naruto spoke up seriously, which intrigued his comrades. Whoa, the defensive ninja boyfriend, Uzumaki Naruto. Kiba teased as they all clapped their hands to join the bandwagon. Oh, they love doing this. Finally, they have something to use to bully him. Back then, Naruto always got the upper hand when it came to teasing people. He was the rambunctious Uzumaki Naruto anyway, so it's either they gave up because of his energy to talk or Sakura would just find other ways to shut him up. Now, they finally got a weapon. No one's making fun of Hinata here. Sakura clarified. Well, maybe they were teasing Naruto, but seeing that he was really serious about this matter, they must get things moving. We're here to help, okay? I know that. It's just. Naruto ran a hand along his hair desperately. I don't know. I want the best. Tonight's her birthday and. We get it, lover boy. Ino encouraged him. Don't worry. We got a solution for you. Women's eyes sparkled with joy and couples lined up with hope as they decide the one out of a million dazzling choices. Rock Lee beamed with pride as he proudly introduced one of their village's exclusive stores. Welcome to Konoha Gold. Here we can find the finest jewelries made of youthful craftsmanship deserving of your love. Everyone's sweat dropped at the bowl cut's highfalutin introduction. The boys rejected to enter the store while it's the girls who accompanied Naruto in the grandiose shop filled with beautiful jewelries. Sakura, Tenten and Ino immediately roamed the shop on the hunt for the one ring that's best for Hinata's birthday. Naruto, on the other hand, froze at the sight of them all. He gulped dryly as soon as he saw the item's price. And damn, a single band cost 4B rank missions. Of course, he didn't just want to give Hinata a simple band. He wanted to give her the best, and he's so damn sure that the best would cost more. Never mind. It didn't matter if it would all be for Hinata. She's worth more than any missions, and he would get her the ring she deserved regardless of the price on the tag. Here, Naruto. It's topaz. Hinata's birthstone. I'm sure she'll love it. Ino presented him a ring with a turquoise-colored gem on top. Plus, it's also reminiscent of your eyes, so she'll always remember you as long as you wear this. Oh, it really looks like your eyes, Naruto. Tenten commented. Naruto inspected the piece, and truly, the stone's color was the same as his eyes. The gem was not too big and flashy, so it looked like something Hinata would like. He inspected the price, and it's a whooping how many A-rank missions. He froze for a while. Holy cram. For Hinata. For Hinata. For Hinata. You did a great job there. Huh, Ino. Sakura complimented, but she presented Naruto with another different design. But here, Naruto, is the symbol of what your love is to her. You said that you wanted to stay with her forever, right? Naruto just nodded his head. Well, here's sort of an engagement ring. The pink-haired showed him a golden band twisted form, a sign of eternity. It's called an infinity ring. He looked at the jewelry and admired how it was made. It was beautiful, and there's no doubt that Hinata was more than perfect to wear this. He flipped at the tag, and he wasn't surprised at the price anymore. The only problem now was choosing. Deep inside, however, there's something inside his chest that's nagging him. Shouldn't he ask Hinata about what she likes? Would she be happy with these designs? With these rings? He exhaled his worries away as his eyes were suddenly caught by a ring with a diamond. That stone represented Hinata a lot. It was simple, pure and clear, just like her. It also looked so sturdy yet very vulnerable, something you'd totally take care of and treasure. Sir, this is an original diamond. The salesgirl informed as she showed him the ring. She continued to speak about its carat and clarity, but Naruto's focus was smitten by its light. Certainly, Hinata. He came back to his senses once the salesgirl informed the price that made his eyes widen. This ring cost 3 rings altogether. He tried composing himself so as to not hyperventilate. This ring was the perfect one. He knew it. Naruto, Ino and Sakura called out with a sympathetic expression. They reconvened with their friends outside the store empty-handed as the three shook their heads in despair. The girls discussed the dilemma while Naruto tried to find ways to afford that diamond ring, when he heard several passers-by. Are they even true? The other one asked. I don't even know. PR stunt, I think. She's the Hyuga princess. Another added and continued. It will be good for the lined-up Hokage. Naruto pinched close his eyes. For long, the village had criticized him ever since he was a young child that he learned how to tune them down and prove them wrong. He just didn't expect that some would even speculate about his relationship with Hinata. He couldn't take it that other people talk shit about the love they share, but he always pictured how Hinata handled this situation. She was always calm and composed, like those things didn't matter to her as long as they were staying strong. Well, if Hinata could do it, he can as well, right? Besides, he still had to worry about the perfect gift to give her. Just say it, we can loan you an amount. Sakura whispered to Naruto while pointing to their smiling teammate, Sai. The blonde just rubbed the back of his head while chuckling dismissively. It's okay, guys. No worries. Sakura sighed, and she was called by Ino as they needed to discuss an upcoming project for the hospital. Surprisingly, Sai tagged along with them. Cheer up, Naruto. Rock Lee smiled and tried to cheer his friend up. Hinata-san loves you. I'm sure she will like whatever you'll give her. And Hinata was in the same position you are right now when she was thinking what kind of chocolate to give you during last year's Valentine's Day. Shino added. Yeah, I can still remember her mustering the courage to give Naruto her chocolate. Kiba snorted and laughed. But this idiot didn't even realize what it was for. Kiba, Tenten hissed as she pushed the Inuzuka away. Don't mind what he said, Naruto. Geez, I was just messing you around. How about we'll be the ones to arrange for the get-together later so you can go prepare your gift for Hinata? Kiba suggested, and they all supported. Naruto looked at his friends and he could see the concern in their eyes. It was such a shame that he brought them into his own personal problem. I'm really sorry for bothering you with this, Naruto said sheepishly. What kind of a boyfriend was he? He didn't even have a clue on how to give Hinata the best for her birthday. He just wanted it to be special and memorable, because this was the very first birthday of Hinata that he could spend as his boyfriend. Probably, this was also the very first time he'd be celebrating the birthday of the person he loves. Don't worry, we got your back, Naruto-kun, Rock Lee assured as the blonde grinned at them. Kiba flashed his sharp fangs and gave Naruto a thumbs up. Yeah, we got this, so we gotta hurry to prepare. His friends bid him farewell as they went on their own way. He was still thinking on how he can afford that diamond ring in the jewelry shop. Out of his pocket, he pulled out Gamma-chan to count his remaining budget, accidentally dropping several of his belongings on the snow-covered floor. He stooped to pick them up, until he saw something and a sudden realization hit him. That's it. Sakura sat beside Kurenai-sensei. Recently, she was always overworking herself at the hospital. She was always known for living out her passion in life, and it just so happened that her career was her passion. Perhaps, she was also taking her mind off from a certain someone. Sasuke had visited Konoha during their moon mission, and yet, she shook her head and the thoughts of him away. Right now, it was their get-together for Hinata's birthday. It was not too big since their friend was not a fan of something too flashy. Everyone was sharing a laugh while a bright blush was blatant on the couple's embarrassed faces. They're probably teasing them again. The last time Sakura tuned into the conversation, Hinata's teammates were revealing Naruto's cluelessness on Hinata's actions before the two got together, even stammering and fainting at his presence, which was a big revelation for Naruto. I have never seen Hinata this happy, Kurenai-sensei said while Mirai-chan looked at them both. Sakura smiled and thought the same. Hinata was always a withdrawn and gloomy child back then. Seeing her so open and bright now also made Sakura happy. And who would have thought that it would be Naruto who got to confess first? The older woman added, which made the pink-haired one laugh. That knucklehead, he must learn it the hard way first before he gets it. Kurenai laughed. He's really unexpected. Just this lately, he insisted to be the one to buy Hinata's birthday cake. That's so Naruto, Sakura thought. They watched from a distance as others gave their gifts to Hinata, and Naruto was watching with childlike curiosity as she opened each one of them. Sakura had already given her gift to Hinata. She intended to hand it privately, so Naruto won't snoop around. Recently, Hinata has been receiving a lot of gifts from everyone, Kurenai informed. Just this earlier, a shinobi attempted to give her a ring, but she refused to accept. What? Sakura asked, shocked. That was Naruto's plan. I mean, yeah, of course, Hinata would decline. She's a very simple girl and she's already dating Naruto. Kurenai nodded her head and added, yes, and you see, the Hyugas, they never really wear a ring. That kind of accessory would just get in the way of their taijutsu, and I doubt a ring will survive a Juken strike. Sakura didn't know how to respond to that. She collected her thoughts for a moment, and noticing that Hinata and Naruto were already saying their goodbyes, she felt like she must do something. Must she talk with Hinata that Naruto was planning to give her a ring? But that would take away the sincerity of Naruto's actions. Must she inform Naruto about what she just found out? Well, he can still sell the ring. That's right. Sakura excused herself from Kurenai-sensei and hurriedly approached Naruto and Hinata. Naruto. Word, please. Naruto stepped a little bit away from his girlfriend. Sakura-chan. Listen, about the ring. The blonde waved his hand dismissively and confidently said, Tisk. Don't worry about it, TT Ibeo. There's something you should know. Sakura-chan. Naruto pulled Hinata into him and draped an arm across her. I got this, okay. Idiot. Sakura was left speechless and she can barely hear Hinata said farewell. There, she watched as Naruto carried Hinata away. Naruto placed Hinata down as soon they neared the Hyuga compound. Her birthday was always during the cold winter and she always felt the same. The Hyugas hardly celebrate such festivities. Through time, her birthdays became warmer and she can never ignore that fact. Tonight, was the warmest so far, and she knew that every birthday spent with Naruto-kun would only get even warmer each year. She was very happy. She was very happy that she felt the confidence to initiate holding Naruto-kun's hand. Besides, the street was practically empty, so nobody could see them this close. The action seemed to surprise him a little, as he was always the first one to hold her hand, but Hinata felt a different kind of victory upon seeing his astonishment. This somehow gave her an idea to do this more often. "Did you have fun tonight?" Naruto-kun asked. His voice was whispery and low, making her feel like it was just the two of them. She nodded her head in response. "Really?" he asked. She looked up and smiled. "Yes." Naruto-kun puffed his cheeks. "Hinata. Yes. I didn't get you any gift. Would that be alright?" She just looked at him dead in the eyes. Her expression bearing the common Hyuga stoicism. She let go of his hand and dipped her head low. "I can't believe it, Naruto-kun." Naruto panicked. He never really intended to offend her. He was just being playful and all. "Hi Hinata. Are you upset?" She shook her head. "More. What? No, I mean. Hina." He stopped once he heard and saw her laughing. Hinata clung to Naruto-kun's arm, while she looked up to meet his gaze. "Of course, it's just fine, Naruto-kun. I really thought that the cake was already your birthday present. And even if you didn't give me anything, just having you here with me and getting to celebrate my birthday with you like this is more than enough for me, Naruto-kun." Naruto looked at her with longing eyes and gave her a warm smile. "Now, it's my turn," he said. They stopped from walking and he faced her. "Close your eyes and hold out your hand, Hinata." She did as she was told so. In the darkness, she could hear several things in the background. She felt Naruto-kun's breathing coming closer to her and something really cold and metallic on her hand. "Open now," he instructed. Hinata opened her eyes and she was welcomed by something she never expected. She couldn't believe this. "Yup. He. Naruto rubbed his nape his usual way. "That one is for my bedroom, this one is for the bathroom. I don't usually lock them, but I give you a copy anyway. And that golden one is for the main door." Hinata just stared at the keys on her hand. I know it's very simple and not even pricey, because all I have is my name and that lonely apartment, but I was just thinking that perhaps you could share those with me." She just looked at him like she was dreaming, still not believing that everything was true. "I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but you can really do whatever you want with it, you know. Like maybe you can make my apartment your stockroom or whatever. I mean, feel free. I'm sharing it with you now. I mean, you don't necessarily have to live with me, because your dad might kill me. I mean, I don't care if you paint everything with purple. Just ask me to paint it for you and I'll do it, and you don't need to worry about everything. Konohamaru and I already did a general cleaning earlier." And Naruto noticed Hinata's blank expression on the keys. He gulped and nervously asked, Don't you like it?" "No," she protested and immediately wiped her tears. "This is worth more than anything out there. This is perfect, Naruto-kun. You just don't know how perfect this is. I never thought that. I'm really very happy." "Hinata, just say it. I'll not get offended if." He was halted when she suddenly hugged him. "I love you, Naruto-kun." Her embrace on him tightened. "I know that these keys are also more than just keys to you. You said that all that you have are your name and your home, so thank you for giving me a part of your everything." Naruto was glad. He was glad that he made Hinata happy, and he was certain that she was genuinely happy right now, because for the very first time since they came back from the moon, he heard her say, "I love you." He hugged her back and pulled her face slightly away from his chest, so he can see her face. "I love you too, Hinata. Happy birthday." At times like this, Naruto could feel that no one was around to see what they were about to do. Cupping her cheeks with his hand, he leaned forward until they were just inches away. His lips were already faintly touching her soft ones. Naruto was just building up the anticipation and trying to tease, but it turned out that it was even difficult for him. He gulped. His throat felt like he was thirsty, and a dry cough echoed in the cold atmosphere. He grunted as Hinata immediately parted away from him. He turned his attention to the guy who awkwardly dry coughed just to interrupt his moment with his girlfriend. "Naruto, I'm sorry to disturb you, but the Hokage calls for you. You have a mission. Naruto sighed in disappointment and said, goodbye, to Hinata, but she ran up to him just to give him a quick kiss on the cheek which boosted his energy and made him smile. I'll come and find you when I get back, he said, looking back at her. Take care, Naruto-kun, Hinata said while waving her hand at him. Unlike before, Naruto was more efficient when dealing with his missions. Most likely, because he was more excited to get back and have a free time. Hinata was assigned to organize the festival booths, so that means she's not having missions in faraway villages. Oh, I see. I didn't expect to receive these herbs this fast, Naruto, Choji. Ino commented as she inspected something with Sakura. Someone's inspired though, Choji commented while nudging Naruto, which made the girls hoot. Did Hinata accept the ring? Sakura asked, not taking her eyes off from the microscope. Ah no, I didn't give her the ring. What? Ino asked. So what did you give her? Please, Naruto, tell me, you at least promised to give her anything. Sakura said. Naruto clarified. No, I already gave her something Ibeo. Really? So what is it? Huh? Naruto. Ino asked. Well, keys. Naruto cheekily grinned. I gave her. Wait, was it the limited edition Condora key pendant necklace? Sakura asked, intrigued. Or maybe it's a charm bracelet. Ino added. None of those. So what is it? The girls reacted. I gave her the keys to my apartment Dadbeo. Naruto proudly announced as H closed the zipper to his bag and picked it up. I gotta go now, Sakura-chan, Ino. The two girls remained frozen as Naruto sped away with Choji in tow. The information just dawned to them until, what? Naruto headed straight to the onsen to join Kiba and Shino after he reported for his recent mission. He was planning to hurry home just to drop his bag then ease off to find Hinata. She must be at the festival grounds checking the booths or somewhere at the marketplace waiting in line for her cinnamon bun. At the foot of his door, his face automatically lit up just thinking of her. However, his grin dropped as soon as he reached his apartment. There was something. His eyes carefully wandered over the shiny wooden floor, then at the spot where he usually placed his footwear and the alignment of his shoes and slippers. At that moment, Naruto felt his head spiraling and eyes getting blurry. He clenched his fist tightly and gulped dryly. Slowly and carefully he lifted his foot to step forward. His chest was gripping, and he wasn't sure if he's ready yet. Like a star, she beamed at him while wiping her drenched fingers with her apron. Her eyes were sparkling and the tenderness in her features made it feel like it's hard to breathe. She's worth more than a diamond ring. Okari, Naruto-kun. Naruto immediately turned around as his tears fell involuntarily in the guise of taking off his shoes. He'd never thought that this day would come to him. He'd never expected this to happen. He'd always come to an empty room, but Hinata's gentle and welcoming smile made his lonely flat a home. Cool, Naruto. Cool. Covertly wiping off his tears, he flashed a smile and hastened to the kitchen where Hinata was cooking. Tadaima. Naruto greeted quite nervously as he was still bottling up his emotions. I was overwhelmed so I wasn't able to. It's okay. Actually it's me who has to be sorry for barging into your home, Naruto-kun, Hinata stated while her fingers fidgeted on her apron. I was just about to drop some groceries or maybe cook some dinner for you, but I ended moving your stuff but don't worry, I just moved around the kitchen and living room and nothing else. Naruto gently gripped Hinata's shoulders and sincerely looked at her eyes. Hinata, haven't I told you that you can treat this as your home? That we share this now. Plus, you could wait for me. I could have helped you. You could ask me to do anything, you know. I can clean for you and do other things. He was sure that he cleaned his apartment with Konohamaru, but he never thought that it could still be this sparkling. Things were stacked properly, and everything was well organized. He couldn't believe it was the same messy and tumultuous apartment. I love doing this, Naruto-kun. Hinata placed her hands atop Naruto's. I chose to do this. For years, I've been wondering how's it like for you to live all by yourself. I always wonder who does things for you, how do you get food every day and who takes care of you. Naruto just stared at her frozen. He knew the depth of Hinata's love through her sacrifice for him during Pain's assault, but hearing these things coming from her, hearing these things he had never heard before. I know that. I wasn't in a place back then to worry but I always feel it deep in my heart that Naruto-kun just wanted a place to belong. That's why, I'm very thankful and happy, though her tears triggered to fall, her smile stopped them and made her feel more comfortable. Because I get to be the one to greet you home. Feeling weak in his knees, Naruto gave his weight up on the nearest chair and firmly wrapped his arms around Hinata's waist, burying his face into her soft abdomen. His shoulders were shuddering as she smoothed circles on his back while her other hand gently patted his head. I'm not crying, Dadbeo. His voice muffled as he hid his face on her belly, his remark making her giggle. Back then, I remember, a little boy once told the village that he's not crying while he's wiping off his tears with his shirt. Hinata moved a little and reached out for Naruto. She met his eyes as she wiped his tears. And now, he's saying the same thing while he's wiping off his tears with my shirt. He gazed upon her admiringly until he elicited a grunt. I can't believe this. This is so not cool. I cried in front of you, Dadbeo. You must think that I'm such a loser that I'm not really a. Naruto-kun, it's okay. Hinata assured while giggling. It's okay with me. How can you be like that? Naruto pouted as he squeezed his cheek on her belly. What if I became too jealous? It doesn't matter. It's alright with me. What if I become too clingy? It's still okay, Naruto-kun. What if I need too much of your attention? She giggled. Still okay. Naruto tightened his embrace around her waist and looked at her. What if you stay here with me just like this from now on? He couldn't describe how perfect she fit in his arms, how perfect she was in her apron while cooking, how perfect she was when she greeted him home. Most importantly, how perfect everything would be if she could stay with him from this forward. But he couldn't be selfish. He couldn't just decide things for her. He couldn't just demand. He loves her and he must also think of what she likes and what she wants. As much as he wanted to spend his every day with Hinata, he also wanted her to be ready. She'd been waiting for him for long years now, and he can't just enter her life and take her away just like that. Naruto-kun. He smiled at her and giggled. What if I couldn't get you a diamond ring? Hinata burst in laughter which she covered with her hand. It's totally okay. An accessory like that can never stand our taijutsu, that's why we never use one as Hyugas. Oh. Naruto parted and chuckled nervously. Is that so? I remember Hanabi used a ring once and it broke while she's training. She added, then her expression turned mortified. Why? Naruto-kun, don't tell me. No. Don't worry, Hinata. Thank God he changed his plan. I mean something so expensive like that. Yeah, it's very expensive, Hinata worriedly muttered. Something as expensive like that must be, I guess, decided by the both of us. Naruto gulped. Hinata's correct. Yeah, I believe so. That's right. The lid of the casserole on the stove clanked, signaling that what Hinata was cooking might be ready. She went to check on it and soon she served their dinner. They talked while eating and Naruto was gradually discovering that playful side of Hinata. She was not showing everything yet and it seemed that he had a new goal of bringing it out of her. Naruto washed the dishes while Hinata packed the leftovers. It was late at night already and he knew that he must walk her home. The wind was so cold outside, and he had an arm around her as they walked through the street. Time always felt so short whenever they were together, but they treasure even that little time they have. Stopping in front of the Hyuga compound, Naruto rocked back and forth as he sheepishly looked at Hinata. He started and she looked up at him shyly. They both scanned the area and affirmed that there's nobody around. Blushing, they reached towards each other for a quick kiss. Good night, Hinata. Naruto whispered. Good night, Naruto-kun. Naruto began walking but he hesitated. He looked back at her and saw her watching him while feebly waving her hand. They both felt it. Ever since Hinata stepped into Naruto's apartment, they both knew that they wanted to stay together and never separate. But Naruto must not be selfish. And Hinata couldn't leave Hanabi yet and she hadn't talked with her father yet. Hooking each other's gazes, they both went after each other and dove in for a kiss. Her arms were both wrapped around his neck as she was on her tippy toes. His hand was tangled on her hair while the other was on the small of her back, pulling her flush to him. Their lips clashed in their own exercised way, however this time they were feeling like they still needed more. Both of their breathing became ragged and their kiss was getting heady. Involuntarily, Hinata elicited a moan which made Naruto accidentally glide his tongue across her lips. They stopped momentarily, until Hinata had both of her feet on the ground. Naruto cupped her nape with his hand and deepened the kiss. Should they be doing this? Is this alright? Hinata let him explore what he unintentionally did a while ago. Although his tongue tracing her own and her lips made her feel nervous and embarrassed, it was also making her feel something weird yet satisfying. She knew that they weren't used to this kind of kissing yet, but it seemed to be the kiss that suited what they needed. This was so unbecoming of her. Her heart was supposed to give up with the sensation she's having, but it felt like it only got stronger. She was having mixed feelings about this, but she felt too weak to let go and she was not even sure if she even wanted to. Naruto probed their kiss with his tongue tied with hers more and more. Hearing her soft and constrained moaning was making him lose his senses, and all he could feel was the heat rising inside of him and this unquenchable need to nibble on her lips. He gulped as his throat felt like he was thirsty. Suddenly, a dry cough echoed in the cold atmosphere. All the heat that boiled inside of him dissipated and was turned into a frightening cold. His eyes widened and body froze. Shit. Hinata pushed Naruto away with force and hid her face with the curtain of her hair. She was trembling and stammering and embarrassed. This can't be happening. Hinata. Oh, Otu-san. Hi guys. Oh no, Naruto. You've been caught, red-handed. It's Hinata's birthday. I'm not actually about to focus on Naruto's present, but I really wanted to make the giving of his keys to Hinata as something really special. More apartment scenes on the way, perhaps, more steamy apartment scenes, eHerm. I know they sorta made out, but it was just a teaser, guys. If Secret Lovers was about them being oblivious to each other's love, well, this was about some other kind of tension, if you know what I'm talking about. Don't worry. I'll make the elevation worth it and entertaining, and perhaps not too long, but just at the right time. We all want anyway. So yeep. I might answer your reviews later or maybe on the next installment since my eyes hurt and I have an integrated marketing campaign aligned with this. Again, thank you for your support. I couldn't voice it properly, I know. That's why I'll continue to write contents for you guys. That's why for prompts, ideas, any kind of crazy reactions, cause I'm totally reading and enjoying them, I'm just batshit busy right now, drop them down below. See you next update. All the Hyuga clan members were busy in preparation for their New Year's Eve dinner, which would be happening later. It's the usual tradition where they dine as one clan to welcome another fruitful and progressive year ahead. The most common talk during the dining table were the major things that occur on their village for the past year. It's very likely that this year, they would be talking about their Hinata-sama and Uzumaki Naruto's relationship, which could drastically transform their clan in a way. Nei-chan, I think you should try the red kimono for this year. Hanabi chirped as she rolled over her big sister's bed. That lavender one is going to face out when you're going to use it every year. Hinata just stared at the red kimono her father gifted her. It's odd that he'll give her something new for just this occasion, since her father would normally wear the same old each year. The younger Hyuga grabbed the kimono away. Look, Otou-san gave you this so you could wear this one today. Hinata just looked at her quizzically in return and gave out a soft chuckle. If you say so, then I will. PFF'd. Hanabi let out and tugged on her sister's sleeve, whispering, I know you're planning to watch the fireworks at the festival with your boyfriend. Hanabi. Hinata reacted flustered. A knock came to their door. It's their father. Otou-san, the two sisters, and greeted when their father opened the door to Hinata's room. Uzumaki Naruto. Hinata's head instantly lifted upon hearing Naruto-kun's name from her father. Have you invited him to our dinner later, Hinata? I haven't, his daughter answered. Well, then, kindly invite him over. Understood, Otou-san. Hinata agreed with a bow. Their father started to take his leave when he suddenly stopped. Oh, please wear the kimono I gave you. When their father had completely gotten away, Hanabi began twirling her kunai and circled around her sister. Looks like I see not just a New Year's Eve dinner. Hanabi. Hinata mildly admonished her little sister's teasing, and the whispered quite hesitantly. What do you mean by that? Hanabi playfully cupped her chin. Looks like I also see an engagement. The older Hyuga just gave her sister an eye and pinched her cheek, which have them both laughing. You, silly. There were two Houris. A black one that looked super sophisticated since it's a gift from Gara, and there's the other one, the one he usually wears during the fireworks festival. To be honest, he thought that the first one was too formal just for a fireworks festival, but he wanted to impress Hinata in a way. Naruto was trying his best to weigh down his options on which Houri would be the best fitting for his very special date later. However, his mind was constantly being bombarded with scenes of how was he going to hold his girlfriend's hand. Should he imitate other couples who kissed just when the fireworks start popping? But he also wanted them to watch the fireworks too. His phone buzzed and he was taken out of his jumbled thoughts. It's Hinata. Filled with so much excitement, he saw her message shocking him. She's inviting me to have dinner with her clan later. Naruto gulped hard. He was damn nervous, but he must attend that dinner in order to win her father's graces at least. Taking a deep take of breath, he agreed. Shaking things off, he slapped his cheeks to waken him up. He may have another thing to think about right now, but at least he got one of his dilemmas out of the way. Definitely, that new black Houri, Dadbeo. Men were dressed in their most formal Houris and women were clad in their simplest yet elegant kimono. Atop the dining table were different types of dishes. They looked very delectable and can only be served in high-CL hotels or restaurants. And Naruto couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe they could be so uptight and boring with this kind of food on their table. Shouldn't they be marrying? And why were they all in pale colors? Wasn't it New Year's Eve? A celebration? No wonder Hinata looked so gloomy and depressing when she was little. Naruto thought as he stiffly smiled and mingled with the Hyuga clan. And god damn it, why was he being so conscious? Good thing his Hinata was wearing a striking red kimono now. It fitted her more than these dead colors, because to him Hinata always looked like that striking color, often catching his eyes no matter what. Breaking the cold air, Hiyashi asked him a question about his recent missions and he answered in colorful tone, which piqued the interest of the clan. The members started asking him questions and sparking up conversations. Little did Naruto know, he's actually creating a different kind of atmosphere in the dining table. Hinata couldn't express the joy she's feeling seeing Naruto-kun slowly becoming a part of her personal life. She couldn't really imagine this happening before, but somehow, he's starting to blend in, and her clan was starting to warm up to him. This celebration was common for her clan, yet right now it seemed a little lighter, especially with Naruto-kun by her side. She felt like the New Year's Eve dinner she'll be having from here on and out will be a lot more fun and warmer. One where it's full of smiles, laughter and vibrant talks. Hand in hand, Naruto and Hinata attended the fireworks festival. They grabbed food and checked out a few booths that caught their interest first. And when the time drew near, they settled at the best spot that they found where they can watch different performers while awaiting the New Year countdown. Still, Naruto was contemplating if she should kiss her during the fireworks or he should just wait for it to finish. Naruto-kun, Hinata called. Thank you. The countdown to fireworks began. 10, 9, 8. For what? Naruto asked with a big smile on his smile. Like seriously, he should be the one thanking her after everything. For joining the dinner, a while ago. I hope you enjoyed it. 7, 6. The blonde chuckled and rubbed his nape. Well, I really enjoyed it. The food was very delicious, everyone's really nice and, of course, you were there Tte. She heartily giggled at him. But Naruto-kun, you must admit. He gave her a questioning look. What? 5, 4. That you were a bit bored at first, she playfully remarked. Nervously chuckling, why yeah. I thought so, but Naruto-kun, Hinata looked up at her boyfriend and clutched his arm. How about we make the next new year to come more fun? 3, 2, 1. The fireworks erupted, yet all he could see was the play of the beautiful colors casted down on her face and the way her hopeful eyes shone on him. He drew closer to her, swooping her in for a kiss. Hinata couldn't believe that something like this, which she only thought would be just a mere imagination and childish daydream, would actually come true. She pined for him for many New Years before, but those years didn't matter because what's more important was she'd have him for the rest to come. Naruto never thought that he'd have someone like Hinata to spend a new year like this. The thought never crossed his mind because he was blinded by childish ambitions and illustrious hopes. He wasted many new years, but he'd make sure not waste another year anymore. He finally found her and would not allow anything to come his way. They both longed to watch the fireworks with together, but at that moment it didn't even matter. Something more magical was happening between of them. It was a kiss that spelled and promised more countdowns to come, filled with yearning for a future together. A better future together, with a lot of love, joy and laughter. Hello everyone, I'm back in Merry Christmas. As of promised on Tumblr, I'll start resuming Star Vessel as a gift for all of you. The NH fandoms has been in a drought lately, so I figured that having Star Vessel at this moment will give us some relief content. I hope you all are doing well and see you on the next chapters to come. Snowy, it's still winter. Their New Year's celebration just finished, and everything must resume to normal again, which meant missions. Naruto was unlikely hasty. Before, he was so excited whenever a new mission would be thrown his way. However, things took for a turn ever since he got a life. In addition, this new mission wasn't as exciting as he would categorize it. An escort mission? Seriously? You've got to be kidding him. Easy, Naruto. You're hopping twice your normal speed. Sai told his teammate while catching up to his strides. Can't we just use one of your? The blonde tried to appeal, but he was immediately cut off. We can't. We're told to stay low. Missing Hinata-san already. Is this what a love life looks like? I'll take note of it. Naruto grunted. How long can he keep up with this? In no time, they arrived the abode of the daimyo who requested the mission. They were tasked to escort his young daughter to their winter home and specifically asked if Team 7 could do the job. Unfortunately, Sakura was too busy in the hospital to join them. She looks like the princesses in the films we watch. Sai whispered to Naruto. They were inside the carriage together with the daughter. Her beauty and manners really fit a princess. I heard a lot about you, especially during the war. She opened up. Sai replied, of course. But I'm pretty sure, most of what you've heard are about Naruto right here. The daimyo's daughter blushed. Naruto chuckled and rubbed the back of his head. Clearly, the daimyo wanted his daughter to get close to Naruto and was probably hoping that this escort mission or trip would bring the two closer. It was no news that the blonde became a son-in-law candidate number one ever since he became a war hero. I did hear a lot about you, Uzumaki-san. The daimyo's daughter, whose name Naruto couldn't recall anymore, said and added, you seem like a very interesting person. Sai just gave his friend a speculative glance. He read scenarios like this from all the magazines he had. He's more than sure that this girl was giving this dense blonde, who's practically wasn't aware, a nudge to ask her for a date maybe. Interesting. I've heard too many people saying I am. I guess it's all because there's too much happening in my life, Dadbeo, Naruto said in a lively manner. Dadbeo? She asked in return, curious about the verbal tick she heard for the very first time in her life. Oh, I got that from my mom. The blonde chuckled. The daimyo's daughter giggled, and Naruto's heart skipped. All he could imagine was Hinata doing the same in front of him. He mentally shook his head, trying to get his mind to get back on his mission. That's cute, I think. She commented while twirling her fingers together. Naruto remembered the time when Hinata would do that. At first, he thought that it was some kind of jutsu, but lately he just knew that it was because she was super nervous in front of him. Instinctively, he looked at the girl's face and the image of a young Hinata giving out the same to him flashed to his head. Is there something wrong with my face? The girl asked, and Naruto realized that he could have been staring longer than he should. Ow, he couldn't help it. All he could think about was Hinata. Her and only her. I just remembered someone, Naruto muttered, an embarrassment gradually creeping on. Oh, may I know who that is? The girl asked. Is that Hinata-san, Naruto? Sai teased. The daimyo's daughter saw that shy look on Naruto's face, and right there she picked up that she must be someone so special to him. Maybe, someone he likes. She smiled to herself and wondered if she'll ever find someone who'd think of her so fondly too. There's a lot of things on Naruto's head. Does he remind Hinata of something about him when they were apart? Would she think of him every time he'd see someone smile? Would she wish it was him she was with at the moment? Was she thinking of him the same too? Everyone could notice the lightness in the way Hinata walked. It was as if she was walking in clouds. With a smile on her face and a bag of containers containing her home-cooked meals, she headed towards her boyfriend's apartment. The gossiping and curious look of the villagers couldn't bother her one bit. Naruto-kun left for a mission and she had to go on her own upon his return. That's why she decided to leave a cooked meal in his fridge, so he'll have something to eat once he gets home. Exiting the apartment, she noticed that there were certain people following her around. She got an inkling of this even before she entered her boyfriend's apartment, but she paid no attention since she thought that perhaps they were just going the same way as hers. However, just now, she was so sure that they were following her. Pacing slower than her usual speed, she found a way to sneak a glance to the people following her. Oh, they were the girls who had a crush on Naruto-kun. She remembered them so well, because for a time, she was a bit jealous of them. Oh, no, don't get her wrong. It's not because they were so close to her longtime crush, but it was because of their courage and confidence to show their admiration to him back then. But Naruto-kun was her boyfriend now and it took a lot for them just to get together, not to mention that they almost didn't end up with each other. Hinata smiled to herself. She remembered the days when she would follow Naruto-kun anywhere he goes. Looking back, it was really silly and embarrassing. Recalling how she would hide from him and would faint at his presence had her internally laughing at the fond memories. Hinata, she heard as soon as she neared the village gate. Approaching was Naruto, excitedly running towards her. Hinata briskly walked to him. He beat no time and engulfed her in a warm embrace. With face stuffed on her hair, he lovingly whined, "I miss you so much, how come you're leaving for a mission just when I finally see you?" She giggled and hugged him back. "I'll be back soon, Naruto-kun." He parted a little and looked at her with a small pout on his face. "Don't you ever look at other guys, okay?" Hinata couldn't help herself from letting out a small laughter. Let me think about it," she teased. "Hinata." He tightened his embrace, clinging to her like a koala. "Don't say that. Of course, I won't, Naruto-kun. Have I ever looked at other guys even before?" She reassured him in the midst of chuckles, while rubbing soothing circles on his back. "Hey, Naruto, let Hinata go. We still have a mission," Kiba called out, grin apparent on his face. They separated, which costed a lot of reluctance on Naruto's part. "See you soon," Hinata mouthed and gave a sunshiny smile that seemed so impossible before. A childish giddy grin formed on Naruto's face as he waved her goodbye. Enlo, guys. For those who are wondering. Yes, I deliberately left open the part with the fangirls as I will touch down on them later on. This chapter would be pretty much about Naruto and Hinata being an ordinary couple. Naruto was starting to think if Hinata was experiencing their relationship the same way as he did, while Hinata remembered her memories of her harboring feelings for Naruto when she was little. I think these are some of the things couples think about when in a new relationship.